Or the fast evolving situation in Syria. I'm joined by Lieutenant General retired Syed Ata Hasnan. He's a former commander of the Indian Army Srinagar Corps. Thank you, General Hasnan. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. General Hasnan, first of all, for our viewers, explain what is at play in Syria. Who are these rebels? Why are they fighting President Assad's forces? And what is the tussle all about?
Thank you, Amrit. Thank you very much. This is one of the most complex battles going on anywhere in the world, and it has taken the whole world by surprise. So I take our viewers back to 2011, although we can start much earlier than that too. But 2011 is the year of the Arab Spring, when you see a fair amount of turbulence was there in various capitals of the Arab world, where people were marching on the streets essentially for democratic rights. In some places they were successful, but in Damascus and in Syria, they were fired upon. There was a military action against them, and you found a democratic forces getting subdued. The democratic forces then subsequently rose up, and that is how the civil war started, which has been going on since 2011. Slowly, lots of other international elements started joining in, because this is a very crucial area of the world, the Levant, which is essentially the territory between the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean Sea, and the bridge between the Middle East and Europe. So it has everything up for stake in terms of stakes in this area. It was Iran who supported the Syrian government. You had the Turks, who were initially in support and subsequently against them, because the Syrians were also supporting the Kurds to some extent. And then subsequently you found the elephant in the room in terms of the Islamic State entering into it, which was the rump elements coming out of Iraq. So it became what is termed in strategically sometimes as a bugger's muddle in this entire game which was going on here. No victors, no losers at the end of it. Russia also joined in 2015, because Russia wanted to protect its interests in the Mediterranean, where it has got air bases and a naval base outside the Black Sea. Now, all this was quiet for the last 5 years after the ISIS got defeated. 5 years, things have been quiet. The world's attention was on Ukraine, and the world's attention was on Gaza and in Lebanon. And all of a sudden, you find an upsurge once again in the civil war situation. It appeared to us initially as if some external forces are obviously supporting the democratic forces in Syria, who have suddenly become very powerful. And there seems to be militant groups who are the rump elements of the Al-Qaeda, who have entered in here, again complicating the whole issue. So and these militant groups are succeeding. They have almost captured Aleppo, they have almost captured Idlib, and they are marching on to Damascus.
Right.
The final battle, of course, will depend upon the moment the Iraqi militias, the Shia militias, which are marching towards Syria, also join battle. So you can expect that there will be a major battle around Damascus in the very near future.
Are you saying the Shia militia are going to, fight President Assad's forces?
No.
They're going to side with. Okay. So is there a sectarian twist to this whole drama that's unfolding there?
Absolutely. Although on one side you will hear an argument saying there is nothing sectarian in this, but it has become sectarian to the extent that Iran has got its major interest here. Okay. Iran has promoted the government of Bashar Assad throughout this period. Bashar Assad and the Alawites are essentially aligned with the Shiite elements. So there is a Shia element of bringing in the Shia crescent into this particular area of the Levant. They are being battled against by the Sunnis, who are the Syrian democratic forces, who are really not just hardcore Sunnis, but have been identified as aligned with the Sunni elements. Now, they are the ones who have suddenly become extremely powerful Where have they got this weaponry
All right.
from? Where have they got this leadership from?
Okay. So you're saying the sectarian, color to it may be due to the geopolitics, but not really rooted inside the country.
Absolutely,
For
yeah.
everything else, he may be a dictator, Assad may be a dictator, but his regime is said to be largely secular.
Well, that is what is the perception, but generally,
Okay.
and that's what he has followed all these years. In fact, Syria was always considered a very, very secular, a very middle path kind of a state.
Because he's an Alawite, there are Christians there, there are Sunnis there, there are Shias there, there are Kurds there.
Absolutely, that's the right thing, the right way of looking at it. But it's got a sectarian color because of the geopolitical issues, very correctly identified by you, because of the geopolitical interests of balance between Saudi Arabia, which is supporting the Syrian Democratic Forces, and Iran, which is supporting the Alawites.
Okay. Very interestingly, General, Donald Trump has made a statement a little while back, about an hour back. He says, US should have nothing to do with the conflict in Syria. How should we read it? Once he comes into power, what kind of a role could we see his administration playing out there?
Well, let's look at the backdrop very briefly. Even at the height of the civil war, the United States was essentially providing air support, air power to the Syrian Democratic Forces and some amount of weaponry to them. Nothing more than that. Their direct involvement in this war was very, very limited comparatively. Today, whether they would want to enter into it or not, as Mr. Trump has very correctly perhaps assessed, he does not want to have the United States getting involved into this third place, because already in Ukraine, although not physically involved, neither involved in Gaza, but three places at the same time to be meddling in the affairs of these countries would seem something out of proportion. And Mr. Trump is not known to be one who wants to bring US power in intervention, in terms of intervention into any of these conflicts. So what he is attempting to do, what he is saying, to my mind, seems absolutely correct.
Okay. General Hasnan, what is the potential of, say, if Bashar al-Assad goes, what kind of a destabilizing potential it could have on the region, given that we have already a full-fledged conflict going on, a war going on for more than a year now?
Well, it will be hypothetical at this stage to say whether Bashar al-Assad goes.
Okay.
He may very well get defeated. Though at the moment, battle for Damascus has really not been enjoined. But hypothetically, if we agree to say that if Bashar Assad's forces are defeated and he is removed, the one element which will suffer hugely is Iran. Because you see, Iran's support into the Levant, Iran's support to Hezbollah and to Lebanon is contingent upon this territory remaining contiguous with Iran.
Absolutely.
This is the area through which all the convoys move, all the rearming, the missiles, all that you have seen in the war in northern Iraq, in northern Israel and southern Lebanon, everything comes through this area. Now, if that is not in the hands of the Syrian force, or rather in the Bashar Assad's hands, or in the Iranian interest, obviously a resupply to the forces of Hezbollah is going to become well nigh impossible. And that will reduce Iran's influence hugely in this area.
Okay, yeah, and Iran wouldn't want the Shia arc to be broken there.
Absolutely.
Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnan, thank you very much. That's all the time we have for. I would have loved to chat more with you, but we'll leave it for another day. Thank you for now.